tomorrow and HarperAudio present The Thing in the Snow, a novel by Sean Adams, performed by Graham Halstead. For Muriel. 1. There are only two others on the caretaking team I supervise, Gibbs and Cline. Each, I'd estimate, about 10 years my junior. The thing we take care of is a sprawling building called the Northern Institute, located in a remote region where the snow never melts. I cannot say exactly where. I fell asleep just 10 minutes into the helicopter trip here several months ago, and when I awoke shortly before our arrival, all I could see was an endless expanse of white. The Northern Institute had for a long time been a lively research facility. Now, having been stripped of its research budget, it is merely a facility. When research halted and the researchers were evacuated, Kay crunched the numbers and deemed it cheaper to hire a small team to look after things than to make the anticipated repairs where the building simply left vacant until research could resume. And so, here we are, the three of us, in my office, drinking coffee, preparing for Friday's work. Outside, a harsh gust howls across the snow's surface. "Windy out there," I say. "Even worse last night." Cline does not respond, but instead looks out the window. "I come from a windy place," Gibbs says, "so I'm fairly used to wind. But yes, it was very windy." I leave a moment for Cline to contribute to the conversation, but he continues gazing out the window, his eyes thinning to a squint. "It was whipping so intensely against the walls," I say to Gibbs. "I barely got to sleep." Gibbs's grip on her coffee mug tightens just slightly. "If you're too tired and need the rest, I'd be happy to oversee things. For the day, at least." "That won't be necessary," I say. "I'm not tired." "But you said you barely slept." "I said I barely got to sleep," I say. "Once I did, I slept quite well." Which is not true. I slept terribly, but I will not admit as much. Definitely not to Gibbs. Something to know, it is not required that I, as supervisor, make my office available for coffee and light socialization each weekday morning before work begins. This I do of my own volition, in the spirit of generosity. But Gibbs and Cline don't seem to realize this. Perhaps if I'd wanted recognition, I should not have opened my office for coffee and light socialization on our first day here. Perhaps I should have waited a week or two and then said, "Hey, how about I open my office each morning for some coffee and light socialization?" Or maybe just, "Hey, how about I open my office each morning for some coffee?" as the outright mention of light socialization might create an atmosphere that is neither light nor particularly social. At any rate, whether I made overt my desire for there to be light socialization is immaterial. The point is, had I waited, the other two might have known a world without coffee and light socialization to look forward to each morning, and then they might see my commitment to going above and beyond and appreciate me more. But I do not feel appreciated. I feel taken for granted and often disrespected, and also powerless to correct matters, as voicing one's desire to be respected and not to be taken for granted is much like voicing one's desire for light socialization, antithetical to achieving the stated goal. This is the burden under which I must supervise, a burden I am sure Gibbs could not handle, though she thinks she could. She has never stated as much, only inquired about potential for advancement. But given that our ranks here are two-tiered, there is me, the supervisor, and them, the supervised, I understand the subtext. That is why, the few days that Cline could not come down to work, claiming each time to be suffering from discomfort in—
Sample complete. Ready to continue?